Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unapologetic Live. I'm your host, Omelette, and Obi Taylor's here.
Hello.
Boom, 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 boom. Taylor's here. As always, today we're talking about really big news. The leak out of the Supreme Court talking about overturning Roe v. Wade. Apparently, this is an opinion that has been written up over 100 pages long. It's gone through and it was released by Politico. Now, who exactly is behind this leak? We do not know. What does this leak mean? We will talk about. What are people having in terms of reactions when it comes to this news? All over the place. And we are going to start with exactly that. Here's a video out of Libs of TikTok of a bunch of leftists on the internet reacting to this leak from the Supreme Court. Warning, I believe there is a little bit of language in this particular video, but we're going to go through, react to it. I might pause to give commentary on some of these reactions as we go through. If you're on Instagram right now, head over to my YouTube channel, Omelette and Obi, Unapologetic, and you can watch this video as well. Here we go.
If they actually do this, that would be the time where rioting would be okay. I got the pitchforks, you get the gas and the torches. Let's fucking do that shit. Because, you're not forcing... No.
First of all, according to the left, men aren't allowed to have an opinion on this, so you really shouldn't be making a video. Second of all, rioting is okay. Suddenly, but we always knew rioting was okay for them. You guys watched the George Floyd riots that happened for months and months on end, burning down hundreds of black businesses in our streets. We knew that a lot of people would be pro-riot in this case, but here's it coming right from the horse's mouth. There's more. Let's watch.
There's only one solution to this, to all of this, because it's all interconnected. Starts with V, ends with E, and it's not vote.
Taylor alerted me that meant violence.
I thought it was vases.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Voices,
Yeah.
right? The left loves voices, but it sounds like that means violence to me. Let's keep listening. Here's a Kathy Griffin.
Hey, TikTok. Do you ever wake up in the morning and think you just want to burn it all to the ground? And what I mean by burning it all to the ground is those old white men and the women who support them who want to tell me what to do with my body.
Me casually going to the Supreme Court just to talk, she says. I'm disturbed.
If Roe versus Wade gets overturned, there will be mayhem in these streets.
You think the global protests around George Floyd were big? You just fucking wait when you launch an attack on 50% of the American population.
Secondly, if you supported the use of violence to defend abortion clinics when the state recognized abortion rights and the cops were doing it, you should have zero problems with people outside the law now doing the exact same thing.
At least they're being open about the fact that they advocate for rioting and violence in the wake of a leaked document, guys. This is not even the Supreme Court coming out and saying this, although they have confirmed that the leaked document is true. But let's try to look beyond some of the ridiculous responses that this is getting, and there's going to be more, and we are going to review more of those during the show. But let's talk about the baseline of this right now. I want to read this tweet from SCOTUS blog on Twitter. They put out, "It's impossible to overstate the earthquake this will cause inside the court in terms of the destruction of trust among the justices and staff. This leak is the gravest, most unforgivable sin." And for those of you who don't know, this doesn't happen often, if not at all. It does not happen. A leak out of the Supreme Court. It's one of our most trusted, under lock and key institutions that we have, or I guess had today. So to have a document that is so vital and so important like this be leaked by who knows who. I'm sure there's going to be an investigation that's put forth to find out who exactly did this, and hopefully they are brought to task and brought to justice for what they've done. This is massive. And the outpour of, I'm sure, violence, rioting, protest, discussion, debate is going to be massive as well. And essentially what we want to do today is just talk about how crazy really it is that this happened, talk about some of the reactions that are coming out in the wake of this, And for the most part, we're not going to go through and talk about abortion. You guys know how I feel about it. You know how Taylor feels about it. I have plenty of videos about that on my page. But we're going to talk about the greater implications here, what this even means that this has been leaked, what overturning Roe versus Wade even looks like in the United States, and why actually, where people will say this is a threat to our democracy. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that phrase in the past couple of weeks, a threat to our democracy. Let's talk about how if Roe versus Wade actually overturns, it will be more consistent with democracy than the actual ratification of Roe versus Wade was. So let's get into this. We have this Barry Weiss Substack article that talks about this leak in particular. Barry Weiss, we all know her to be a classic conservative. She represents our views on some issues and not on others. I'm not sure where she lies on the abortion debate.
It's a
but
classic liberal.
Classic liberal. So she's probably a pro-choice individual.
Yeah.
But what she did was write about this leak. And I want to read one part in this article, although I would urge you to go and read the entire article again on Barry Weiss's Substack. She writes, I called up one of the smartest professors I know at one of the top law schools in the country, and he echoed that, quote, to my knowledge, it's never happened before in the modern history of the court. It is the most serious possible breach, end quote. Serious, severe, shocking, he said, but in the end, not surprising. Why not? Here's how he put it, quote, to me, the leak is not surprising because many of the people we've been graduating from schools like Yale are the kind of people who would do such a thing. What did he mean by that? Quote, they think that everything is violence, and so everything is permitted. And this is really a brilliant way to phrase this and to look at it, because in their eyes, this vigilante who has leaked this document, a sacred document from our Supreme Court, is doing what's right. We're essentially promoting the Robin Hoods and the Batmans of today's day, according to the political left, because everything that is done in the name of anything other than leftism is violence against you, it's violence against our communities, and it's violence towards women, trans people, people of color. That's the way that they view things. Like words or documents. These are documents of violence. So that somebody in this court or in this court system, either close to one of these judges, an aide, any desk that this has passed through, this document has passed through. Now that somebody has released it, they're saying that this is a good thing. We're pro-vigilantism now in the United States because it benefits their narrative. And I think this has happened at a very opportune time, considering we have some big elections coming up. It's really great to galvanize particularly women and young people behind an issue like this to go, hey guys, we're going to support you in this fight. Here's the new fight. We know the critical race theory thing didn't work because we got exposed for that. We know the LGBTQ thing in the schools didn't work because we got exposed for that. Well, abortion, Roe versus Wade, look, they're coming for you. They're coming for your household. This is what we need to galvanize behind. This is where we'll get you. This is where we fight them. So all of this has come at a very opportune moment, if you're asking me. And again, it does belittle our court system. I want to read another tweet, and we're just going to go through and read a bunch of takes and respond to what's happening right now. The leak is inexcusable and threatens the court's functioning. The most plausible explanation is that it's someone on the left engaged in civil disobedience. So yet again, it's those who bemoan the, quote, loss of norms, end quote, who break them. Court packing, attacking legitimacy, etc. And again, yeah, it is exactly that. So when we have things like, I don't know, Hunter Biden's laptop getting leaked, totally unethical. How dare you take a piece of information from somebody and leak it out to the public? When we have this, quote, vigilantism, like we saw in the case of Ahmaud Arbery, where neighbors took into their hands the justice system and, followed Ahmaud Arbery, who they thought was robbing some of them and scoping out their houses, and that ended in his death. The left was very anti-vigilantism in that case and said no citizen should take into their own hands the ethics at which a court system can handle. That's what they said. Same thing with the Zimmerman case with Trayvon Martin. We are not pro-vigilantism. Nobody should take the law into their own hands. Nobody should disregard our institutions and the systems that we set up, and we should abide by the norms that these systems and institutions put forth. But I'm not hearing anti-vigilantism when we're talking about what's happened today, when we're talking about this leak. And again, we're not going to go through the document because we weren't meant to go through the documents. It was not meant to be seen by our eyes yet. It was not meant to be discussed yet. But somebody decided, you know what? Instead of listening to the laws and the structures of our court system that have been set in place for decades and decades now, I'm going to take it into my own hands and I'm going to leak this out to Politico and let them put this out to the American people. And it truly is despicable to undermine our system like this. At the end of the day, when we're talking about our political issues and our social issues and all of these things we disagree on, the one thing we should be able to agree on is a trust in our systems and institutions, and give that trust to them in a way that allows them to work out the differences that we have. But guess what? That is lost. And it has been lost far before this, but this is just another nail in the coffin for us not being able to trust anything that is said or done by our systems and institutions, by our courts of law. So what are we going to see now? We're going to see a new fight that's going to be taken to the streets. The Supreme Court already has gates and barricades set up all across it. Why? Because they're waiting for people in the name of abortion to come and protest outside on the street. And it looks like many people are happy to get violent in this because it's a threat to your democracy, right? Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what the overturning of Roe v. Wade, if this actually happens, means. What it means is that the federal government does not get to dictate or write into law what it is that you do in terms of abortion. And in fact, it's not something that's constitutionally protected, which is why this is being written up. What this means is that, guess what? Abortion and those regulations get to be decided by the states, get to be decided by your elected representatives who you choose. So what this in fact does, this overturning of Roe v. Wade, it puts your voice back on the market to be able to tell your state legislatures what you want to see, how you would like the law to be dictated in this case. And guess what's going to happen? There's going to be states, let's see, like California and New York, who are going to go, yes, abortion is legal. In fact, in California, they'll probably go, it's legal at any time. You can get abortion in your third trimester. Why not after birth? You know? That's what that state's going to do. And then you'll probably have states like Florida, Texas, Idaho, Tennessee that go, no, we're going to regulate that, if not outlaw it. Why is that? Because it will be dictated by the population that lives in those states. The way that our country was meant to work. Our country is not meant to work in this system where the federal government dictates everything and anything that you do. Although, you know, we'd be shocked by that considering the last 2 years that we went through with this pandemic, because apparently the federal government gets to tell you everything that you do with your body, and suddenly it's not your body, your choice anymore when COVID is here. But now we're back to my body, my choice, and the left is crying that the federal government isn't telling them what to do with their bodies. And again, let's talk about that, because they used to be anti-establishment. They used to be pro-skepticism. They used to be anti-government, an anti-government agency in a lot of ways. But now they're saying, Daddy government, please tell me what to do with my body. Please legislate this for me. Instead of giving me actual democratic power and allowing me to voice my opinion in the state of my choice and allow that state to dictate what we do with our laws. That is all that this means. Now, I'm sure they're not happy with some of the people on their side, because here's a tweet from Paul McLeod. I hope I said your last name right. Big. Senator Joe Manchin just indicated he would not blow up the filibuster to codify Roe, saying he believes the filibuster is a check on power that preserves abortion rights. Without Manchin, the chance of passing Roe into law is pretty much zero. And again, they will cry. They will cry that the federal government will not be able to tell them exactly what laws they need to follow and exactly what needs to be regulated. And this is going to happen. It seems, at least, because again, the Supreme Court has come out and said, yes, this is true. We did write this. We did draft this. You weren't supposed to see it, but it is a real document. And now we're taking to the streets prematurely before we even know what is going on. Here's another tweet from Rich Lowry. If you're an institutionalist until a Supreme Court decision goes against you, you're not an institutionalist. Exactly. And that seems to be the case with everything in life. We're so okay with it as long as it supports our narrative. We're so okay with it as long as it supports our agenda and the way that we view our lives. But as soon as anybody else gets an opinion or anybody else gets to make a choice in the matter, oh no, couldn't possibly be an institutionalist. If you say you value norms and are fine with this leak, you don't believe in norms. If you piously talk of rules and never apply them to yourself, you don't have any rules. And that just sort of reiterates what we've already said, with the left being so anti-vigilantism. How dare somebody take the law into their own hands? But they're so happy to see that this document was unethically leaked. So really, the Supreme Court was our last institution to really have trust in when it comes to this country. Can you think of any other, Taylor?
Let's if you look at the list, like what, CDC, NIH,
FBI,
Congress,
CIA,
FBI.
all these agencies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot of faith in many of those left.
Not a lot of faith in many of those left. And now we have the legitimacy of our Supreme Court brought into question by, I'm sure, what seems to be a singular person leaking this. I'm not sure if that's true. It could be that one of the justices, tapped the shoulder of one of their aides or someone else who has seen this document pass their desk and say, get this out there. Our side's not looking too good right now. We need something to galvanize people behind. Get it out there. Who knows? But now the woke are crying because they don't want to see more democracy in America. And I want to show another video that was put out by Libs of TikTok, yet another compilation of people going crazy about this. Extreme language warning for those of you watching. If you are younger or family watching right now, maybe just put us on mute for the duration of this video, and we're going to react to more people going off about this. Here we go.
These streets.
For everyone out there with uterus, get on Amazon, buy Plan B generic. It's about $10. Stock up for any of your friends, family, any person with uterus that may need it in the near future.
Anti-abortion, anti-trans, and anti-LGBT laws are inseparable from one another, and all represent an attack designed to enforce a gender hierarchy. The whole point is to reduce our genders and sexualities to the biological role of reproduction, and to use that to control our bodies.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm pretty sure most people who represent pro-life as, their view and their outlook on the world just want to see babies get born. And those who represent the pro-choice side of things want to have the right to an abortion. Pretty sure it's as simple as that. I wouldn't go as far as to say we're just trying to reinforce gender norms, although we do recognize that those exist.
You know what? I'll just go ahead and say it. If Roe v. Wade gets overturned, I am fucking getting a vasectomy.
Sad. We'll be sad to see the possibility of you having children go. I'm getting tearful.
Yeah, that's right. I'll fucking just get a vasectomy.
To the white women that keep saying that it's going to be like Handmaid's Tale when Roe v. Wade is overturned, please shut up. Please shut up. Because people of color have been experiencing Handmaid's Tale since we came this fucking country.
What? Okay, there wasn't even an argument made there, but I just love to see people who represent radical leftist ideology just eat their own. So now she's screaming at people who are saying that overturning Roe v. Wade is regressive. They will just constantly pick and fight and scratch each other's eyes out. It's truly a dog-eat-dog world when you're on this side of the political spectrum.
This is a way to keep the population going so that they can have workers and keep making the rich rich.
This is the direct fault of about 43%, 43 or 53? Something along those lines, I forget the exact number, of white women. Because that number of women voted for Donald Trump. Listen to Black, brown, and indigenous women.
Because your opinion means so much more when you have a different skin color.
Take your ego out of the equation. Fucking listen to him.
I'm technically a half black woman. Does that mean that she's advocating that people listen to me? I have a feeling if she watched this video, she would say, well, not that black woman. I meant black women, but I didn't mean that black woman. I have a feeling that's exactly what her response would be. It's just hilarious to see people coming out against this. Again, all this means is that your state is going to get to dictate whether or not there are regulations set around abortion, whether or not it's outlawed, or whether or not it's a free-for-all and anybody can do whatever they want. That is all that this means. Everybody, politically left, politically right, politically centrist, should go, oh wow, we're going back to the way that our country was meant to be? to the ideals that our country was founded on, to the ideas written in the Federalist Papers about how states get to dictate their own legislation, their own laws, and their own rules. We should all be happy about this, regardless of whether or not you are pro-abortion or pro-life. You should be cheering this on, that you now get a voice in what is happening in your state, rather than allowing, like you guys would say, a bunch of white men, even though we know that it's not that in the Supreme Court. We know we see Clarence Thomas. We know we see Amy Coney Barrett dictating what it is that we do surrounding abortion. We should all rejoice.
By the way, 7 white men made the original Roe ruling.
Which is a great point that nobody talks about. Yeah, so everybody complains, oh, white men get to decide what we do surrounding abortion. This is disgusting. And as Taylor just said, 7 white men are the ones who wrote Roe v. Wade into existence.
It's like, let's uphold the decision of the white men and reject a decision that involved a black man and a woman.
Right.
Is what they're saying.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And it's just like what we talked about on the show yesterday. We hate Elon Musk. We hate old white men with money. But not Bill Gates, not Mark Zuckerberg, and not Jeff Bezos. Come on. And it shows. We only care about whiteness. We only care about patriarchy. We only care about vigilantism. We only care about ethicals. We only care about integrity when it supports our narrative to do so, and we don't when it doesn't. And when it supports us and when we get what we want, all bets are off, all rules are out the window. And in fact, let's cheer on the person who did this. Now, here's some people saying exactly that. This is Brian Fallon. He wrote, is a brave clerk taking this unprecedented step of leaking a draft opinion to warn the country what's coming in the last-ditch Hail Mary attempt to see if the public response might cause the court to reconsider. Brave? What is brave about this? Nothing. Nothing. What's truly brave is admitting your opinion in the way you see fit without undermining the integrity of our court system. That's what's truly brave. Because regardless of whether or not things swing in your favor or in your line of thought, if you cannot trust the system that does that, everything is lost. That is what we are meant to share in this country, is the trust in the way it was built, in the way it was founded, in these ideas. And if we don't share that, we've lost it. And that's my fear with all of the polarity that we are experiencing right now. Because it used to be that both sides of the aisle on any discussion had a shared love for this country and had the shared idea that we want to make this country better. It seems like we don't have that anymore. We don't care about that anymore. And a lot of that stems from the fact that if you view our systems as inherently racist, inherently patriarchal, bigoted, and discriminatory, there is no other route to take than to completely burn them down, as they say in these videos, completely abolish them. That's why very seldom are you hearing calls for reform anymore, it seems like. All of it is about abolition, destruction, tear it down, completely transform, build back better. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. Let me know down below. I'll be curious to see what it is you think. I want to show a video here of crowds gathering to protest this decision that has not been made yet, this document that has not been let out to the public yet. This entire thing is very, very, como se dice, fishy to me, that this is all coming out now. Hey, hey, ho, ho, that system has got to go.
I think it says fascist scum has got to go.
Fascist scum has got to go. Oh, gosh. Again, it's so fascist to allow states to decide what you do with your body. Not even yours body, a separate body.
Right. And that's what's so disingenuous about the way they characterize this argument as an assault on democracy. The decision being reversed would literally make it more democratic.
Yep.
And it allows people to represent it on a more local level and on an individual level, and put it back in the hands of a representative government as opposed to a group of justices legislating from the bench, which is not how the system was designed. So it's restoring it to a representative government system. And you're saying that is an assault on democracy? No, you're just mad because your side didn't get what they wanted and didn't get to exploit the system and undermine the system to impose your view on America through illegitimate means. We're going back to a legitimate means by reversing the decision.
Right. And a point that I want to make before we let go of our folks on Instagram and we let go of our folks on PragerU's YouTube is that you have to think that a lot of people view this as just conservative Supreme Court judges pulling this idea out of their butts because they don't want you to be able to have an abortion. This is actually founded in law. Like, they actually have to sit. This is a 100-page document where they have to sit and think through every possible factor, how the Constitution affects this, what clauses of the Constitution could apply to protecting the right to abortion, as the left calls it, and they go through all of that to find every possible angle that somebody could have a dissident opinion on this, and then they go, nope. Not supported by the Constitution. And if you think about it, it's not supported by the Constitution, which is exactly why it goes to the states for decision, which is how it should be. The federal government does far too much and far too much not well at all. There are very few things that the federal government should be doing in your lives. And I hope everybody knows this. Reagan, the bigger the government, the smaller the citizen. This is exactly where we're at right now. And the fact that the federal government is abdicating this to the states is an actually beautiful, tremendous thing happening. And I wish everybody would begin to see that. But instead, we have some ludicrous leftist opinions on this that we've pulled up on Twitter that we're going to react to. But I'm going to say bye to everybody on Instagram first. Head over to my YouTube channel, Lepanovi, to watch the rest of this. Bye to people on PragerU's YouTube. Head over to my YouTube channel. Link is in the description. Now, let's get into these leftist tweets that I found. I just searched the hashtag Roe v. Wade. This is what popped up. Melinda Hale wrote, "If you think they won't come for same-sex marriage and interracial marriage,